Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. That way, you'll always stay connected to our stories and never miss the next adventure. Gemma had exactly 3 rules for surviving on a station full of apex predators. Don't make eye contact, don't smell like fear, and absolutely, under no circumstances, touch their young. So naturally, when she found herself kneeling in the garden dome with a Draalith cub's wounded paw in her hands, she figured her life expectancy had just dropped to somewhere between 5 minutes and, oh God, they're going to use my rib cage as a chew toy. The Distant Light Research Station wasn't the worst assignment in the galaxy, but it definitely made the top 10 list of places humans probably shouldn't be. Orbiting a gas giant that looked like someone had tie-dyed a planet in shades of purple and green, the station housed 6 different species, all trying very hard to pretend they enjoyed each other's company. Most days, it worked. Most days, nobody got eaten. Today was not shaping up to be most days. "Easy, easy," Gemma whispered, her voice doing that thing where it went up 3 octaves, because terror had apparently relocated to her throat. "I'm just going to clean this, okay? Just cleaning it." The cub, who couldn't have been more than 5 cycles old, whimpered and tried to yank his paw back. He was small by Draalith standards, which meant he was only roughly the size of a full-grown mastiff, covered in slate-gray fur that bristled along his spine, with eyes like molten copper that were currently leaking what Gemma really hoped were tears and not some kind of predatory mucus. She'd been pruning the hydroponic tomatoes, minding her own business, when she'd heard the crying. The garden dome was technically open to all species, but most avoided it because Gemma had plastered it with earth plants, and, apparently, the smell of basil was offensive to at least 3 different alien species. The Draalith usually gave it an even wider berth because, well, vegetables were for prey animals, and they had a reputation to maintain. But here was this cub, his paw caught in the metal grating near the irrigation system, a clean slice through the pad that was bleeding that weird purple-black blood the Draalith had. "What's your name?" Gemma asked, pulling out her emergency medkit with shaking hands. Station protocol said she should call security. Station protocol also said she should back away slowly and let nature take its course. Station protocol was written by people who'd never heard a child crying, regardless of species. "Pip," the cub hiccuped, and Gemma's heart did this stupid melting thing despite her brain screaming that this creature would grow up to be able to bite through reinforced steel. "Okay, Pip, I'm Gemma. This is going to sting. But then it'll feel better, I promise." She cleaned the wound with antiseptic, and Pip made this high-pitched keening sound that activated every maternal instinct Gemma didn't know she had. His claws, each one the size of her thumb, flexed and dug little furrows in the floor panels. Think. Distraction. Kids needed distraction. Without really planning it, Gemma pulled out her phone. It was an ancient thing by Earth standards, at least 15 rotations old, but it had her entire media library on it, and more importantly, it had videos. "Hey, Pip, look at this," she said, swiping through her folders with her non-blood-covered hand. She found what she was looking for and hit play. The phone screen lit up with a video of an orange tabby cat perched on a kitchen counter, staring at a cucumber someone had placed behind it. The cat turned, saw the cucumber, and launched itself a good 3 feet straight up in the air, all 4 legs splayed, before sprinting out of frame like it was being chased by the devil himself. Pip's keening stopped. His copper eyes went huge. "What? What is that?" he breathed. "That's a cat," Gemma said, applying the bandage while his attention was locked on the screen. "They're from Earth. My homeworld. The video autoplayed to the next one. A compilation of cats falling off things, cats miscalculating jumps, cats attacking their own tails, cats getting startled by their own reflections. Each clip was maybe 5 seconds long, but they were strung together in this beautiful symphony of feline failure. And Pip laughed. It wasn't a human laugh, obviously. It came out as this chittering, huffing sound, like a pressure valve releasing steam. But it was unmistakably joy. His tail, which had been tucked between his legs, started to wag. "They're so small," Pip said, transfixed. Are they predators? They have claws and fangs. But they're stupid?" Gemma offered, finishing the bandage. "Yeah, they're not exactly known for their intelligence." "Well, they are, but also they're not. It's complicated." "That one just fell into the water bowl," Pip said, pointing with his freshly bandaged paw. "On purpose. It looked right at the water, and then jumped in, and now it's angry about being wet." "That's cats for you. Why would your people keep such ridiculous creatures?" Gemma opened her mouth to answer, then realized she didn't have a good one. "You know what? That's an excellent question. We just do. They're fuzzy, and they occasionally let us pet them, and in return, we give them food and shelter, and accept that they're going to knock every single thing off every single surface." Pip watched 3 more videos, his breathing evening out, the pain apparently forgotten. A calico cat was attacking a Christmas tree. A black cat was yowling at a closed door, only to walk away uninterested when the door opened. A gray kitten was falling asleep, sitting up, jerking awake, then falling asleep again. "I like this one," Pip decided, pointing at the sleepy kitten. "It's trying so hard to stay awake." That's pretty much every kitten ever. They're like little chaos gremlins until their batteries suddenly die. That's when Gemma heard the footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Multiple sets. Coming fast. Her survival instincts, which had apparently been on a vacation for the past 10 minutes, came roaring back online. She'd been alone with a Draalith cub for long enough that someone had noticed. Someone had come looking. And that someone was about to find a human with their hands on Draalith young. She was so dead. The garden dome door slammed open with enough force to rattle the hydroponic racks. 3 Draalith warriors entered, and behind them, moving with the kind of controlled fury that made Gemma's bladder seriously consider giving up, was Ranick. Clan leader Ranick, specifically. 8 feet of muscle, fur, and barely contained violence. His mane was pitch black, shot through with silver, and his eyes were the color of amber, with slitted pupils that locked onto Gemma like targeting lasers. His lips pulled back from teeth that could definitely, absolutely, 100% tear her head off. Gemma did what any rational person would do in that situation. She froze completely. Her phone still in her hand. A video of a cat chasing a laser pointer playing at full volume. "What?" Ranick growled, his voice like rocks being ground together. "Have you done to my son?" "My son." Oh, perfect. Not just any cub. The clan leader's cub. Gemma's obituary was going to be really short. "Father!" Pip scrambled to his feet, holding up his bandaged paw. "Look, the human fixed my paw, and she showed me the tiny, foolish predators." Ranick's eyes narrowed. He crossed the garden dome in 3 strides, and Gemma was suddenly very aware that she was still kneeling, which put her at perfect throat-ripping height. "Tiny. Foolish. Predators," Ranick repeated slowly, as if trying to determine whether those words meant his son had sustained brain damage. "The cats!" Pip said excitedly, apparently completely oblivious to the fact that his father looked ready to commit murder. "Father, you have to see them. They're so funny. They hunt, but they miss, and they fall, and they get scared of vegetables. One of the warriors, a scarred male who looked like he'd been in approximately 1,000 fights and won all of them, leaned in to look at the phone still clutched in Gemma's hand. The video had moved on to a compilation of cats versus cucumbers. The warrior's ear flicked. Just a tiny movement. But Gemma had spent 8 months on this station, and she'd learned to read Draalith body language because her life depended on it. That ear flick? That was interest. "It's entertained by this?" Ranick asked, his tone suggesting that entertainment was a concept he'd heard of but never actually witnessed. "They're just videos from my home world," Gemma said, trying to keep her voice steady and failing miserably. "I was treating his paw. He was scared. I showed him something to distract him. That's all. I swear, I didn't hurt him. I would never—" "More!" Pip interrupted, tugging on his father's arm. "Show father the one with the red dot. The cats lose their minds over the red dot." Ranick held out his hand. It was not a request. Gemma, with fingers that felt like they'd been replaced with frozen sausages, placed her phone in his massive palm. His claws could have punctured straight through it, but he held it with surprising delicacy, staring at the screen like it might explode. The current video showed a cat, a fluffy Persian, sprinting full speed across a hardwood floor after a laser pointer, only to slam directly into a glass door it hadn't seen. The cat sat there for a moment, clearly recalculating its life choices, then went right back to chasing the dot. Ranick's other ear flicked. Then his tail twitched. Then, and Gemma would swear on her life this happened, the corner of his mouth turned up. Just a fraction. Just enough. "These are predators from your world?" he asked. "Technically, yes. They hunt small prey. Mice, birds, the occasional bug. But mostly, we just keep them in our homes, and they sleep on our furniture and complain about food. You keep predators in your homes. As what, status symbols? To show your dominance? No, they're just companions. We like them. They're soft. Sometimes they purr, which is this rumbling sound they make when they're happy, and it's very soothing. Mostly, they ignore us, and we're okay with that." All three warriors were watching the phone now. The video had moved to a cat trying to fit into a box that was at least 3 sizes too small, contorting itself into shapes that defied physics. "That one is broken," one of the warriors said. "No, they're all like that. If there's a box, a cat will try to sit in it, regardless of size. We don't know why. They just do." "Inefficient," the same warrior observed, but his eyes hadn't left the screen. "Oh, extremely," Gemma agreed. "Cats are maybe the least efficient creatures in the galaxy. But that's kind of the point. They don't have to be efficient. They just exist. And they're hilarious." Ranick watched 3 more videos without speaking. His expression was impossible to read, which was somehow worse than the murder face from earlier. The warriors kept glancing at him, clearly waiting for orders to either leave or tear the human apart. Finally, Ranick handed the phone back to Gemma. She took it with both hands, trying not to drop it because her hands were shaking so badly. "Explain these cats to me," Ranick said. "What purpose do they serve in your society? Are they bred for war? For hunting?" "No, they're just pets, companions. Some people have working cats on farms to keep rodent populations down. But mostly, they just live with us, and we take care of them, and they provide, I guess, emotional support? And entertainment. Mostly entertainment because they're constantly doing stupid things. You feed them. You shelter them. And in return? They let us exist in their presence," Gemma offered. "Sometimes they sit on us. Sometimes they bring us dead things as gifts, which is gross, but supposedly means they love us. Mostly, They just make us happy by being ridiculous. This concept seemed to break something in Ranick's brain. He stood there, this massive apex predator who could command a room with a growl, looking genuinely confused. "Your species keeps small predators for no practical purpose," he said slowly. "You gain no tactical advantage, no food source, no protection." "Correct. That is the most inefficient thing I have ever heard. Welcome to humanity. We're a mess." Pip tugged on his father's arm again. "Can Gemma come show more cat videos tomorrow, please? There were so many, and I want to see them all. And she said there are different kinds of cats, and—" "Pip," Ranick said, and the cub immediately went quiet. The clan leader looked at Gemma, and she tried very hard not to wet herself. "You will bring your device to our clan quarters tomorrow, after the second meal rotation. You will show us more of these cats." It was phrased like a command, but there was something in his voice, something that sounded almost like pleading. Yes, of course. I'd be happy to," Gemma said, because what else could she say? "How many should I expect?" "The clan will attend." "The whole clan?" "The whole clan." And that's how Gemma found herself scheduled to give a lecture on cat videos to 30-plus apex predators who could absolutely kill her if the presentation wasn't up to standard. As the Draalith filed out, Pip paused to wave at her with his bandaged paw. "Thank you for the cats, Gemma, and for fixing my paw. You're my favorite human." "I'm one of 3 humans on this station, buddy," Gemma called back. "Still my favorite." When they were gone, Gemma sat down hard on the floor of the garden dome, her legs refusing to support her anymore. Her phone buzzed with an incoming message from Cho, one of the other humans on station. "Cho, did you just get surrounded by Draalith warriors in the garden dome? I saw it on the security feed. Are you alive?" Gemma: "Alive, traumatized, and apparently giving a TED Talk on cat videos tomorrow." Cho: "What?" Gemma: "I'll explain later. Do you have any cat videos on your phone? I'm going to need backup content." Cho: "Gemma, what the hell did you do?" Gemma looked at her phone, at the paused video of a cat trying to jump onto a counter and missing spectacularly, and started laughing. It was maybe a little hysterical, but honestly, given the circumstances, she felt entitled. "I have no idea," she said to the empty garden dome. "But I guess we're about to find out if cat videos can bridge the gap between species." Her tomatoes, still unpruned, seemed to judge her silently. "Don't look at me like that," she told them. "You wouldn't have done any better." Gemma stood outside the Draalith clan quarters with her phone, a borrowed projector from the station's tech bay, and the distinct feeling that she was about to give the weirdest presentation of her life. The clan quarters occupied an entire section of the station's residential ring, and the door was designed for people roughly twice her size. She'd been standing there for about 3 minutes, trying to build up the courage to hit the door chime when the door just opened. Standing there was Ranick, looking somehow even more intimidating in what she assumed was casual clothing, which, for Draalith, meant leather straps and metal rings that probably had cultural significance she didn't understand. "You came," he said, and was that relief in his voice? "You commanded me to come," Gemma pointed out. "So, yes, here I am, with cats. The clan is waiting." That's when Gemma's stomach dropped straight through the floor, because "the clan is waiting" turned out to mean that every single Draalith on the station had crammed themselves into their communal space and were sitting in neat rows like the galaxy's most terrifying kindergarten class. 36 apex predators. She counted, all of them staring at her. "Oh no," Gemma whispered. "Oh no," Ranick repeated, his ear flicking. I expected maybe, you know, 5, 10 at most. This is, this is the whole clan. I told you the clan would attend. I thought you were exaggerating." She wasn't given time to panic further because Pip came bounding up, his bandaged paw held carefully off the ground. "Gemma, you brought the cats. Father said you would, but I was worried you might not come, and then we wouldn't see the cats and everyone is so excited." Everyone did not look excited. Everyone looked like they were waiting for a tactical briefing on enemy positions. Ranick gestured to a space at the front of the room where someone had set up a makeshift screen. Just a white panel pulled down from the ceiling. "We borrowed this from the station's meeting rooms. Will it work?" "It'll work," Gemma said, moving on autopilot now. She set up the projector, linked it to her phone, and pulled up her most comprehensive cat video playlist. 3 hours of content. Surely that would be enough. She turned to face the assembled Draalith and tried to channel every nature documentary host she'd ever watched. "Okay, so, cats. Felis catus. They're small carnivorous mammals from Earth, and humans have lived alongside them for approximately 10,000 rotations. They domesticated themselves, mostly because we had grain stores that attracted mice, and cats hunted the mice, and eventually, we just started living together." An elderly Draalith in the front row raised his hand. Actually raised his hand like a student. "Yes, sir?" "Shook," he said. "Elder Shook. You said they domesticated themselves? You did not conquer them?" "No. They just kind of showed up and decided we were useful. We didn't really have a say in it." Shook's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "Interesting. Proceed." Gemma hit play. The first video was a classic, a kitten seeing its reflection for the first time and immediately attacking the mirror. The kitten's fur puffed up, making it look like a tiny dandelion with teeth. The reaction from the Draalith was immediate and varied. Several cubs started, chittering with laughter. A few adults leaned forward, their predatory focus locking onto the screen. One warrior in the back row tilted his head in what looked like confusion. "That's called puffing up," Gemma explained. "They do it to look bigger and more intimidating when they're scared or aggressive." "It makes them look ridiculous," Shook observed. "Well, yes, but they don't know that." The next video showed a cat miscalculating a jump between 2 counters and falling directly into a sink full of water. The cat emerged looking betrayed by the universe itself. Half the room chittered with laughter. The other half looked concerned. "Are they injured?" asked a female Draalith with lighter fur and what looked like nursing bands across her chest. "No, just wet and offended. Cats hate water, generally speaking. They're very dramatic about it." "Dramatic," the female repeated, as if testing the word. "That's cress," Ranick said quietly from beside Gemma, making her jump. She hadn't heard him move. "She raises the young ones." Gemma pulled up a video of a mother cat with kittens, and Cress made a sound that was almost a coo. The mama cat was grooming her babies, licking them clean while they mewed and climbed over each other. "They're so small," Cress breathed. "How do they survive? They look defenseless." "They basically are defenseless when they're born. Blind, deaf, completely dependent on their mother for the first few weeks. Then they open their eyes and immediately start causing chaos." On cue, the video shifted to slightly older kittens playing, pouncing on each other, attacking their mother's tail, falling off of things in the background. The Draalith cubs in the audience were transfixed. Pip had somehow migrated to sit right at Gemma's feet, his eyes huge. Then they got to the hunting videos. A warrior named Glace actually stood up when a cat appeared on screen, crouched low in grass, haunches wiggling, preparing to pounce on an unsuspecting bird. "Look at the form!" Glace exclaimed. "The weight distribution! The patience! The cat pounced. The cat missed. The bird flew away. The cat sat down and started grooming itself as if that had been the plan all along. Glace sat down, looking personally offended. They're not always successful hunters, Gemma said diplomatically. But they try. Well, sometimes they try. That one is cleaning itself after failure, Shook observed, to maintain dignity despite defeat. There is honor in that. Gemma wasn't sure honor was the right word, but she wasn't about to argue with a Draalith elder. The videos continued. Cats getting startled by cucumbers, which prompted a lengthy discussion about why cats feared vegetables. Cats knocking things off tables, which the Draalith found hilarious. Cats getting stuck in boxes, jumping at laser pointers, chasing their own tails, falling off windowsills while sleeping. An hour passed. Then 2. Finally, Ranick held up his hand, and the room fell silent instantly. Gemma, I have a question. Yes? You mentioned that cats live with humans. In your homes. Show us that. Show us the bond. Gemma's fingers hesitated over her phone. The bond between cats and humans wasn't something she'd really thought about before. It just existed, like breathing or gravity. Okay, she said slowly, scrolling through her library. The bond, right. So, cats they're weird about affection. They're not like dogs who are just constantly excited to see you. Cats are more subtle. She pulled up a video of a massive orange tabby slowly blinking at the camera while sitting on someone's lap. See that? The slow blink? That's cat language for, I trust you. I love you. They only do it when they feel completely safe. The room had gone eerily quiet. 36 predators watching a cat blink in slow motion. That's it? Glace asked. That's the bonding behavior? A blink? Well, there's more. Watch this one. A compilation played. Cats head-butting their humans' hands, rubbing against legs, kneading with their paws on laps and stomachs, purring so loudly the video's audio peaked. A gray cat sleeping curled up on a man's chest, rising and falling with his breathing. A black cat following a woman from room to room, just wanting to be near her. A tabby jumping onto a crying child's bed and pressing its face against the kid's cheek. They choose you, Gemma said softly. That's the thing about cats. You can't force them to love you. You can't command their affection or loyalty. They give it freely or not at all. And when they choose you, when they trust you enough to fall asleep on you, or bring you their toys, or just exist in your space, it means something. Because they didn't have to. They wanted to. The silence stretched out. Gemma looked around, suddenly worried she'd said something wrong, violated some cultural taboo. But the Draalith weren't angry. They looked stunned. Ranick was staring at the paused image of the gray cat on the man's chest, his expression unreadable. His claws had extended slightly, digging into his own palms. Choice, he said finally, his voice rough. They bond through choice, not hierarchy. Yes, without pack structure, without dominance displays. Right. I mean, cats have social structures when they live in groups, but with humans it's companionship. Mutual respect, sort of. They share our space. We share ours with them. Neither one dominates the other. Shook stood up, moving with the careful deliberation of someone very old and very thoughtful. Human Gemma, I must understand something. These cats, they provide no labor, no protection, no food? Correct. They do not pull loads, guard your homes, or assist in hunts beyond their own small prey? Nope. They mostly just knock things over and yell at us when their food bowl is half empty. And yet you treasure them. Absolutely. We love them specifically because they're useless, demanding, and occasionally mean. They're just themselves, completely and unapologetically, and we accept them for it. The elder's tail swished back and forth. Show us the humans who have multiple cats. Surely if one is valuable, many must be status symbols. Gemma grinned and pulled up her favorite video. A woman in an apartment with 6 cats, all doing completely different things. One sleeping in a sunny spot, one attacking a houseplant, one screaming at a closed door, one sitting in a box, one grooming another cat who clearly didn't want to be groomed, one just staring at the wall. "This is my friend's mom back on Earth," Gemma said. 6 cats, 0 brain cells shared between them. She loves every single one. She can barely afford to feed herself, but those cats eat premium food and have more toys than some kids have. "That's absurd," said a young warrior from the middle row. "Completely absurd," Gemma agreed cheerfully. "And she wouldn't change a thing." Cress spoke up, her voice gentle. The mother cat in the earlier video. She provided warmth, food, grooming, protection. Her kittens gave her nothing in return except need and trouble. "Well, yeah, that's how babies work," Gemma said. But she chose to care for them, to sacrifice her own comfort for theirs. Not because of pack law or hierarchy, but because of love. I mean, that's biology too, maternal instinct and all that. But yes, love is a big part of it. Cress looked at Ranick, and something passed between them. Some silent communication that Gemma couldn't decipher. Pip tugged on Gemma's sleeve. "Do you have a cat?" "I did. Back on Earth. His name was Chairman Meow, and he was the most judgmental creature in the galaxy. He passed away a few rotations before I took this assignment." "You miss him?" It wasn't a question. Gemma felt her throat tighten. "Yeah, buddy, I really do." "Can you show us him?" Gemma scrolled back through her personal photos, finding the folder she hadn't opened in months. Chairman Meow, a dignified tuxedo cat with a permanent expression of disappointment, appeared on screen. "He looks angry," one of the cubs observed. "He was always angry. That was his personality. He hated everyone except me, and he only tolerated me because I had opposable thumbs and could open the food containers. But when I was sad, he'd sleep on my pillow next to my head. When I was sick, he'd lie on my chest. When I came home from bad days, he'd yell at me for being late, then headbutt my hand until I petted him." "He chose you," Ranick said quietly. "He chose me, and I chose him right back. For 16 rotations, we were family." The slideshow continued on its own. Chairman Meow sleeping in a sunbeam. Chairman Meow sitting in a box labeled fragile, looking anything but. Chairman Meow bringing Gemma a toy mouse at 3 in the morning. Chairman Meow's slow blink, captured perfectly in a rare moment of tenderness. "Family," Cress repeated. "Not pack. Family." "Is there a difference?" Gemma asked. "Our pack structure is rigid," Shook explained, his old voice carrying easily through the quiet room. "There is the clan leader, the warriors, the elders, the caregivers, the young. Everyone has a place, a rank, a function. Strength determines position. Challenge determines succession. It has been our way for thousands of cycles." "But family," Cress continued, "family suggests something different, something without rank. The mother cat did not dominate her kittens. She served them. The man whose chest the gray cat slept upon, he was vulnerable in that moment, exposed, and the cat protected that vulnerability by offering trust in return." "We've been trying to understand other species," Ranick said, and Gemma realized this was the most she'd ever heard him speak. Since we joined the station collective, since we left our homeworld, we lost so much there. Plague took our prey herds, our hunting grounds became barren, and we had to choose: adapt to cooperation with other species, or die out slowly on a failing planet. But cooperation requires trust, Glace added, and trust without hierarchy, without clear dominance, this is not natural to us. We've been failing at it. Other species fear us. They submit or they avoid us. They don't choose to be with us. You saw us as the problem, Gemma said, understanding dawning. Thought you needed to be more dominant, more intimidating. Yes. But the cat videos showed you the opposite. Yes, Ranick said again. Your cats are predators, like us. They hunt, they have claws and fangs, they are capable of violence, and yet humans do not fear them. Humans invite them into their most vulnerable spaces, into their beds while they sleep, onto their laps while they rest. Why? Because they're not trying to dominate us. They're just being themselves. And that's enough. The room digested this. A warrior in the back, one Gemma didn't know, spoke up hesitantly. Could you show us more? The ones where cats and humans live together. All of it. How they interact, how they communicate, how they choose each other. Gemma looked at Ranick, who nodded once. I can do that, she said, but I'm going to need more videos. Mine are mostly just funny compilations. If you want to really understand the bond, I'll need to contact friends back on Earth. Get real footage of daily life with cats. Do it, Ranick commanded. Whatever you need. Full station resources. That seems excessive for cat videos. This is not about cat videos anymore. The message Gemma sent to Earth read, Need all cat footage you have, especially mundane daily life stuff. Long story, might be saving interspecies relations. Send help and videos. She got back 300 hours of content within 2 days. Apparently, humans really loved showing off their cats. But before she could organize her next presentation, Station Commander Idris summoned her to his office. That was never good. Idris was a tall man with graying hair and the kind of face that suggested he'd seen too much and slept too little. He'd been running distant light for 6 rotations, and Gemma had maybe spoken to him twice before this. Sit, he said, not looking up from his datapad. Explain to me why the Draalith clan has submitted a formal request for expanded cultural exchange programming focused on, and I quote, Earth feline behavioral studies and human-animal companionship dynamics. Ah, Gemma said. So, funny story. I don't want a funny story. I want to know why every other species on this station is now nervous because the apex predators are suddenly obsessed with something a human showed them. The Metherian delegation thinks you're plotting something. The Jinn ambassadors have filed 3 formal inquiries. Even the station AI asked me what's happening, and it's not programmed for concern. Gemma explained. The injured cub, the cat videos, the unexpected presentation, all of it. Idris listened, his expression cycling through disbelief, confusion, and finally, exhausted resignation. Cat videos, he said flatly. Cat videos. You accidentally started a cultural revolution with cat videos. I really didn't mean to. Idris rubbed his temples. The Draalith have been our biggest integration challenge. They're struggling to adapt to cooperative multi-species environments. Command has been considering reassigning them to a single-species station because the tension was getting unsustainable. And you're telling me that what they needed was to watch Earth animals be idiots? When you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's also apparently working. I've had 3 separate reports of Draalith initiating positive social contact with other species in the past 2 days. Cress joined a Jinn caregiver support group. One of their warriors asked the Metherian engineers about their hobbies. Hobbies, Gemma. Since when do Draalith care about hobbies? Since they learned that joy doesn't need a purpose? Idris stared at her for a long moment. You're either a genius or incredibly lucky. Can it be both? Get out of my office and keep doing whatever you're doing. Command will process their formal request. You're officially our cultural liaison to the Draalith clan now. Congratulations on your promotion. It comes with no additional pay and significantly more danger. That's the station motto at this point. 3 days later, Gemma set up her most ambitious presentation yet. The Draalith clan quarters were packed again, but this time several other species had shown up too. Word had spread. The Jinn, crystalline beings who communicated through light patterns, had sent 2 observers. A handful of Metherians, small reptilian engineers, perched on specially designed seats in the back. Even a few of the station's other humans had come, including Cho, who kept giving Gemma thumbs up and grinning like this was the best entertainment she'd seen in months. Okay, Gemma announced, today's presentation is about daily life with cats. The boring stuff. The real stuff. How humans and cats actually share space and build bonds over time. The first video was from her friend's apartment on Earth. 20 minutes of unedited footage. A woman working on her computer while her cat slept on the desk, occasionally waking up to demand attention by walking across the keyboard. The woman gently moving the cat returning immediately. The woman sighing and just working around the cat. Eventually, the cat settled on her lap, and the woman unconsciously started petting it while typing one-handed. This is compromise, Gemma narrated. The cat wants attention. The human has work. Neither one gets exactly what they want, but they find a middle ground. The cat gets proximity and touch. The human gets companionship while working. Both choose to adjust for the other. Ranick was taking notes. Actually taking notes, like this was a critical tactical briefing. The next video showed a man coming home after a long day. His cat, an enormous Maine Coon, was waiting by the door, yowling. The man picked up the cat, this massive ball of fluff, and just held it like a baby while walking through his apartment. The cat's yowling turned to purring. That's greeting behavior, Gemma explained. The cat missed him. The human missed the cat. They're expressing it. No hierarchy, no dominance, just mutual affection. The human serves the cat's need for contact, Cress observed, even though he's clearly tired. Yes, because the cat's happiness matters to him. And in about 3 seconds, watch. The man set the cat down, and the cat immediately trotted to the kitchen and started yowling at the food bowl. The man laughed, actually laughed, and filled the bowl. He's been manipulated, Glacis exclaimed. Absolutely, Gemma agreed. Cats are excellent manipulators. They learn what sounds and behaviors get them what they want. But humans know they're being manipulated. We see it happening. We let it happen anyway, because we love them. That makes no tactical sense, a young warrior said. Love rarely does, Cho called out from the back, and several humans laughed. The videos continued. Cats sleeping on their humans, humans rearranging their entire lives around cat nap schedules. Cats bringing toys to their humans at absurd hours. Humans playing even though they were exhausted. Cats getting sick. Humans rushing them to veterinary care and paying enormous amounts of money to make them well. Humans getting sick. Cats refusing to leave their sides. There, Shook said suddenly, pointing at the screen. A woman was crying on her couch, and her cat had climbed onto her chest, purring loudly, pressing its face against hers. That. Explain that. She's sad. The cat senses it. The cat can't fix the problem, but it offers comfort, presence. That's what family does. You can't always solve each other's problems, but you can refuse to let each other face them alone. The elderly Draalith's eyes were bright. We have lost that. In our hierarchy, weakness is hidden. Vulnerability is dangerous. A Draalith who shows pain risks their position. Cats are vulnerable all the time, Gemma said. Every time they fall asleep in front of you, every time they expose their belly, every time they slow blink, they're saying, I trust you not to hurt me. And humans honor that trust. We protect them, even though they're predators, even though they're often jerks. We protect them because they chose to be vulnerable with us. Ranick stood abruptly, and the room fell silent. He walked to where Gemma stood, towering over her, but his posture was different. Less aggressive, more open. Gemma of Earth, I need to tell you something. My clan, we came to this station because we had to. Our world was dying. We knew we needed to integrate with the larger galactic community, but everything in our culture fought against it. We are hunters, predators. We exist in hierarchies. The concept of cooperation with prey species or weaker beings, it violated our deepest instincts. I know, Gemma said quietly. Everyone knows. The whole station has been walking on eggshells around you for months. We felt it, the fear, the avoidance. It reinforced what we believed about ourselves, that we could only relate to others through dominance or isolation, that our nature was incompatible with peace. But these cats, these small, ridiculous creatures from your world, they showed us something we had forgotten, that bonds can form across vast differences, that strength and vulnerability can coexist, that choosing to care for something weaker than you is not weakness itself. It is the highest form of strength. Pip appeared at his father's side, looking up at both of them. Can we really change, Father? Can we learn to be like humans and their cats? Ranick placed his massive paw on his son's head, a gesture so tender it made Gemma's chest ache. We can try, little one. We can choose to try. He turned back to Gemma. Which brings me to a request, an unprecedented one. Oh no, Gemma said. When this station next docks at a human world for resupply, in approximately 2 months, I want to request that you help my clan acquire one of these cats. The room erupted. Draalith voices raised in excitement, concern, questions. The other species observers chattered among themselves. Cho whooped from the back row. Gemma held up her hands. Okay, first of all, you don't acquire a cat. Cats aren't acquired. They're adopted. And the cat has to approve of you as much as you approve of the cat. How does one earn a cat's approval? Honestly, you can't. You just have to hope they like you. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. There's no logic to it. Ranick's tail swished thoughtfully. A companion who cannot be commanded or bought, who chooses you based on criteria only they understand, who demands you prove yourself worthy through patience and gentleness. Pretty much. That sounds perfect, he said. That sounds like exactly what we need. Gemma looked at this massive predator, this apex hunter who could tear through steel, asking her earnestly how to convince a 10-pound furball to love him. All right, she said, but we're doing this right. First rule of adopting a cat. The cat picks you, not the other way around. Second rule, you'll need to kitten-proof your clan quarters. Those claws of yours? You're going to have to be so careful. Third rule, patience. Cats take time to trust. You can't rush it. We understand waiting, Cress said. We've been waiting to understand how to exist in this larger universe for many cycles. We can wait for a cat. Over the following weeks, the station transformed. The Draalith began integrating with other species, tentatively at first, then with growing confidence. They attended social gatherings. They joined recreational activities. Glas started a cross-species combat training program that was actually about teaching technique, not establishing dominance. Cress and 3 Jinn caregivers organized an interspecies childcare exchange. The Draalith cubs and Jinn younglings played together under careful supervision, learning that different species could be friends, not just competitors or prey. Shook started a philosophy discussion group that met weekly. The topic of the first meeting, on the nature of bonds without hierarchy. And Gemma compiled a comprehensive guide titled Feline Integration Protocol for Draalith Clan, which she submitted to Station Commander Idris with only a little bit of trepidation. He approved it without comment, though she swore she saw him smiling as he signed the authorization. 2 months later, when Distant Light docked at the human station orbiting Luna, Gemma accompanied Ranick, Pip, and Cress to the station's animal adoption center. The volunteer, a young woman who'd been briefed on the situation but still looked mildly terrified, led them to the cat room. "So," she said nervously, eyeing Ranick's claws, "we have many cats available, all personalities. Some are shy, some are social, some are energetic, some are lazy. You just spend time with them and see who connects with you." They entered the room, and immediately, chaos. Most of the cats took one look at the Draalith and ran for the highest shelves they could reach. But one cat, a scraggly orange tabby with a torn ear and the most unimpressed expression Gemma had ever seen on a feline, walked directly up to Ranick. The cat sat down, stared up at this 8-foot apex predator, and slow blinked. Ranick froze. His warriors, who'd insisted on coming along, froze. The entire station seemed to hold its breath. Then, carefully, moving slower than Gemma had ever seen him move, Ranick knelt. The cat walked forward and headbutted his massive paw. "I believe," Ranick said, his voice rough with emotion, "that I have been chosen." The orange tabby, whose paperwork said his name was Reginald, but whom Pip immediately renamed Courage for approaching a Draalith without fear, became the first Earth cat to live among an alien species. 3 months after that, Gemma received a message from Ranick. It was a video. Courage sprawled across Ranick's chest, while the clan leader attempted to read a datapad. The cat was purring so loudly, the audio peaked. Every time Ranick tried to move, Courage would reach out one paw, claws carefully sheathed, and pat his face. The message text read, "You were correct. We do not control the cat. The cat controls us. We have never been happier. Thank you for teaching us that love requires no purpose except itself." Gemma saved the video in a folder labeled, "The Day Cat Videos Changed Everything." Later, when she was old and telling stories, people would ask her how she managed to bridge the cultural gap between humans and one of the galaxy's most feared predator species. She'd smile and say, "I showed them cats being idiots. Everything else they figured out themselves." But in her heart, she knew the truth. Sometimes, the most revolutionary act is showing someone that joy needs no justification, that love requires no hierarchy, and that the smallest, most ridiculous creatures can teach the mightiest beings how to be gentle. Earth's greatest ambassadors were knocking mugs off tables the whole time, completely unaware they were changing the galaxy. And honestly, That was the most cat thing ever.